Indian armed forces have avenged the barbaric terror attack in Pahalgam, which killed 26 people. Listen to this. Shortly after midnight, India launched Operation Sindoor, hitting terrorist infrastructure in Pakistan and Pakistan-occupied Jammu and Kashmir, from where terrorist attacks against India have been planned and directed. A total of 9 sites were targeted. The Indian response was focused, measured and non-escalatory in nature, and no Pakistani military facilities were targeted. The sources indicate that Prime Minister Narendra Modi was monitoring the Indian strikes throughout. Shortly after the attacks, India's National Security Advisor Ajit Doval spoke to his American counterpart Marco Rubio and briefed him on the actions taken. Later, Rubio put out a statement saying that he was monitoring the situation closely and urged both sides for a peaceful resolution. Senior Indian officials also spoke to their counterparts in the US, UK, Saudi Arabia, UAE and Russia to brief them on the steps taken by India against Pakistani terror infrastructure. In the aftermath of the attack, the IAF confirmed that Srinagar airport would remain closed for domestic operations today. Indian carriers Indigo, Air India and SpiceJet announced that the flights to and from Srinagar would be impacted, with many flights getting cancelled, delayed or diverted. Meanwhile, the line of control continues to be tense, with heavy exchange of fire being reported. At least 8 people have been killed in the firing from Pakistan in Jammu and Kashmir's Poonch. Meanwhile, Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif confirmed that India conducted precision military strikes and has called for a National Security Committee meet. Now, all educational institutions have been shut in Pakistan's Punjab province. In one of the first major global reaction, U.S. President Donald Trump said that he knew something was going to happen and hoped that the hostilities would end very quickly.
No, it's a shame. We just heard about it just as we were walking in the doors of the Oval. Just heard about it. I guess people knew something was going to happen based on a little bit of the past. They've been fighting for a long time. You know, they've been fighting for many, many decades and centuries, actually, if you really think about it. No, I just hope it ends very quickly.
United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has also called and also reacted to Indian strikes and called for exercising maximum military restraint. The UN chief added that the world cannot afford a military confrontation between India and Pakistan. Meanwhile, a high alert has been issued in the border areas of Rajasthan. 2 airports in the state, one in Bikaner and the other in Jodhpur, have been closed. And at the same time, a holiday has been declared in schools in border cities of Bikaner, Jaisalmer and Barmer. Remember, Bahawalpur, which is one among the 9 targets attacked by India, is about 100 kilometers from the Rajasthan-Pakistan border. Now, just a short while back, Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri and 2 women officers, Colonel Sophia Qureshi and Wing Commander Vyomika Singh, addressed the press and listed out the terror camps targeted by the Indian Armed Forces.
Good morning. Thank you all for joining this briefing. As you are all aware, on April 22, 2025, Pakistani and Pakistan-trained terrorists belonging to the Lashkar-e-Taiba carried out a savage attack on Indian tourists at Pahalgam in Jammu and Kashmir in India. They murdered 26 people, including 1 national of Nepal, causing the largest number of civilian casualties in a terrorist attack in India since the 26 November 2008 attacks in Mumbai. The attack in Pahalgam was marked by extreme barbarity, with the victims mostly killed with headshots from close range and in front of their families. Family members were deliberately traumatized through the manner of the killing, accompanied by the exhortation that they should take back the message. The attack was clearly driven by the objective of undermining the normalcy returning to Jammu and Kashmir. In particular, it was designed to impact the mainstay of the economy, tourism, with a record 23 million tourists visiting the valley last year. The calculation, presumably, was that harming growth and development in the Union territory would help keep it backward and create fertile ground for continued cross-border terrorism from Pakistan. The manner of the attack was also driven by an objective of provoking communal discord, both in Jammu and Kashmir and the rest of the nation. It is to the credit of the government and the people of India that these designs were foiled. A group calling itself the Resistance Front has claimed responsibility for the attack. This group is a front for the UN-proscribed Pakistani terrorist group Lashkar-e-Taiba. It is notable that India had given inputs about the TRF in the half-yearly report to the monitoring team of the UN's 1267 Sanctions Committee in May and November 2024, bringing out its role as a cover for Pakistan-based terrorist groups. Earlier too, in December 2023, India had informed the monitoring team about Lashkar and Jaish-e-Mohammed operating through small terror groups such as the TRF. Pakistan's pressure to remove references to TRF in the April 25 UN Security Council press statement is notable in this regard. Investigations into the Pahalgam terror attack have brought out the communication notes of terrorists in and to Pakistan. The claims made by the Resistance Front and their reposting by known social media handles of the Lashkar-e-Taiba speak for themselves. Identification of the attackers based on eyewitness accounts as well as other information available to law enforcement agencies has also progressed. Our intelligence has developed an accurate picture of the planners and backers of this team. The features of this attack also tie in with Pakistan's long track record of perpetrating cross-border terror in India, which is well documented and beyond question. Pakistan also has a well-deserved reputation as a haven for terrorists from around the world, with internationally proscribed terrorists enjoying impunity there. In addition, Pakistan has been known to willfully mislead the world and international forums, such as the Financial Action Task Force, on this issue. The Sajid Mir case, in which this terrorist was declared dead, and then, in response to international pressure, brought back to life, found alive and arrested, is the most glaring example. The latest attack in Pahalgam has understandably generated deep anger in Jammu and Kashmir and in other parts of India. Following the attacks, the government of India naturally responded with a set of initial measures relating to our engagement with Pakistan. You're all aware of the decisions that were announced on the 23rd of April. However, it was deemed essential that the perpetrators and planners of the 22nd April attack be brought to justice. Despite a fortnight having passed since the attacks, there has been no demonstrable step from Pakistan to take action against the terrorist infrastructure on its territory or on territory under its control. Instead, all it has indulged in are denials and allegations. Our intelligence monitoring of Pakistan-based terrorist modules indicated that further attacks against India were impending. There was thus a compulsion both to deter and to preempt. Earlier this morning, as you would be aware, India exercised its right to respond and preempt as well as deter more such cross-border attacks. These actions were measured, non-escalatory, proportionate, and responsible. They focused on dismantling the terrorist infrastructure and disabling terrorists likely to be sent across to India. You would also recall that the Security Council on 25th April 2025 had issued a press statement on the Pahalgam terror attack, underlining, and I quote, the need to hold perpetrators, organizers, financiers, and sponsors of this reprehensible act of terrorism accountable and bring them to justice, unquote. India's latest actions should be seen in this context. Joining me for this briefing on our actions earlier this morning are Colonel Sophia Qureshi and Wing Commander Vyomika Singh. I will request them to share some details regarding Operation Sindoor with all of you.
Well, that was Foreign Secretary Vikram Misri. Now, to give us more details, we have joining us our Assistant Editor of Foreign Affairs, Siddhant Sibbu. Thank you so much, Siddhant, for joining us live. Now, we just heard Foreign Secretary how he briefed upon this very precise strike that India did conduct in the wee hours. Now, what struck me was how this whole strike has been very different from the past ones. This is more expansive, very precise. What did you pick up from this press conference?
Well, let me just say that it is approximately 12 hours since the first strikes happened. Visuals are now pouring in from across Pakistan of India's strikes in various parts, including POK and, of course, in Pakistan's Punjab province. Now we know that India has been targeting terror camps. We saw that detailed 27 minutes long presser by the Indian side, where the focus was essentially how the situation remains, of course, from the Indian perspective, the issue of terrorism. Also, since morning, we have seen condemnation after condemnation in terms of coming in terms of the Pahalgam terror attack, but also calls for restraint. Of course, we have seen a strong statement by China, which is seen against India and for Pakistan, and it has termed the Indian strike as regrettable, but not condemned Pakistani cross-border terrorism. As such, they gave, of course, a generic statement on terrorism. Of course, we know that the American side has been in touch with both sides, having conversations as well, and telling, of course, that there needs to be a restraint. It's up to the Pakistani side that what will be the next step. Will they continue with escalation, or will they see this as an attempt to, of course, reform themselves? Because India has said that Pakistan is not taking action against terror networks, and this is something that is the biggest worry for India. In fact, the Indian Foreign Secretary in his press statement also warned that there could be more strikes from the Pakistani in terms of the terror attacks from Pakistan, and that is why India has taken this important step of striking deep into Pakistani territory.
Absolutely. Now, of course, as they briefed upon how this was only terror targets that they catered to and not any other civilian, and we just saw the strikes from the other side, from Pakistani side, kill 3 civilians, which raised to 8 civilians. How do you assess this whole playing out going forward? Do we also expect, because we also know that Pakistan has also been conducting their meeting in Pakistan, what kind of reaction do you think we're going to see going forward?
Well, so far we do not know what kind of reaction will come from Pakistan, but Pakistan has reached out to the United Nations Security Council. It is taking media members to the locations where the strikes have taken place. There's a lot of commentary coming from Pakistan as well. The Pakistani Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif has held an important meeting as well earlier today, but it is just around 12 noon here in India, and of course it is also just past 12 noon in Pakistan as well. The day essentially has just started in terms of digesting what has happened. Of course, we know that these tensions are something that the world is noticing. We know that there have been remarks, as I have been talking about, from the international community. But next few hours will be very important in terms of whether Pakistani side goes up to the escalation ladder or it goes into a de-escalation mode.
Absolutely, Siddhant. Of course, we'll be looking at what happens next. There's mock drills that the preparations were going on. We'll be assessing how that we go forward with that. There's red alerts and high alerts across India, especially in Rajasthan. We'll, of course, be picking up whatever reactions we get, but thank you so much for joining us and giving us the latest.